This is Joel Markowitz from DCTheaterscene.com. I'm here at the Philadelphia Theater Company, having just seen Bill Irwin's The Happiness Lecture. We last saw Bill as George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, for which he received the 2005 Tony Award, and recently, on April 28th, he received the Helen Hayes Award, playing George again at the Kennedy Center. Now in Philadelphia with his own creation, The Happiness Lecture, he returns to what is perhaps his first love, clowning. I've just seen the show, and boy, does Bill clown around. It's zany, it's hilarious. You must come to Philly to see the show. Thank you for being here, Bill.
Thank you for being here, Joel. Thank you for coming to see our matinee.
The New York Times says that you are an actor who listens to music no one else hears. So tell us what you heard that led you to create the Happiness Lecture.
Well, I can't take, in this instance, very much credit. There are video and sound designer, Jorg Cosino, is a guy I've never worked with before, a Philadelphia guy, and the Philadelphia Theater Company, in putting forward this commission, put me together with Jorg, and we didn't always see eye to eye, we didn't always understand each other, but he has put together a musicscape for this show, which is totally different than anything I was imagining when I was thinking about what the show would be, and I love it. And therein is the theater, the collaboration of theater in a nutshell. You know, what you arrive with something fixed in your mind, and that all goes away, and then the thing you offer an audience is something no one has quite imagined till the moment it happens.
Well, I can tell you this audience just gobbled it up, literally.
You were a part of a great house. It was a great house. Last night, between myself and your listeners and I, we didn't really cook the same ways. And then the very next afternoon, it's theater is strange.
So why did you choose the title?
This title, I can only tell you this. 2 years ago, I was in London in an expensive hotel room with a great job. It was something that was an absolute gift to me, the chance to do the role of George in Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. And we were filling the theater, and the producers were making money, and everyone was happy, except somehow, oddly, I was perversely miserable. And in the middle of the night, unable to sleep, I would email people all the time. And Sarah Goranczyk of the Philadelphia Theater Company and I were in touch with each other via the net. And she said, what about a commission? And I said, okay. And I had just read this really amazing article on happiness by a wonderful writer named John Lanchester. And so his ideas were in my head. And I said, Sarah, I know you need a title. Let's call it the Happiness Lecture. But I'm sure that will change, and yet it never did, because the question of human happiness is, it preoccupies us every living moment, and nobody knows what it means. And so it seemed like a subject which might bring people to a baggy pants comedy.
Okay, did you have a finished piece when you started rehearsals, or did you shape happiness together with these 8 performers who are local?
6 of my fellow cast members are based in Philly, and they're amazing Philadelphia performers who don't seem to distinguish dance from acting. They don't break down by genre. 2 of my colleagues are from New York. They're wonderful dancer actors whom I just said, could you imagine coming from New York to do this and for not much money and live in a place that they put you in? And so far, we are having a ball. And to your question, was it shaped? No, it wasn't shaped as of the first preview.
Is it shaped today?
Yeah, it had some shape today that it didn't have last night, and that's the theater in a nutshell. And we're still working on it. We're up and open, and in theory, the thing is finished. But I find in the theater, you're never finished till you close it, and then it's forgotten, goes into the ephemeral. But we're tweaking it and made some changes today. My wife came last night and saw so-so shows, so she graciously came back again to the matinee. And
thank God.
Yes, right. And I took her notes and suggestions, and so some things got better. And there's the theater.
So is there a chance we might actually see this wonderful show in D.C.?
Anything is possible. There are no plans. When I put together a new concoction, people say, well, then where should we move it? After that, I would say, no, I know it would make sense. It would be more efficient to plan ahead, but I can only look at one draft at a time. So we'll do this, we'll lay it aside, and then we'll see whether the spirit or the finances or old age allow any look at it after that.
You never know what PR we'll get from this podcast, right?
the DC people we're reaching right now may put us over the edge. But I'd love to do something in DC because when we toured Virginia Woolf a year ago, the Kennedy Center was our first stop, the Eisenhower Theater, and it was all four of us, it was our favorite theater. And I would love to play something there again. I know the stagehands have told me they're redoing it or have redone it.
They are. They're reconfiguring it.
Ooh,
better sound, so maybe you'll come back.
Better sound? I thought it was terrific acoustics.
It's my favorite theater in that theater. I hate the Opera House. Sorry, Kennedy Center. And when they announced you were going to the Eisenhower, we all did this, whoop whoop thing. We were so happy.
I've never played any other theater there, so I'll be very glad to go back there.
Okay, great. You just won the Helen Hayes Award playing George at the Kennedy Center, so congratulations.
I thank you, and it is a great honor. And here's my, if I may, my complaint to Amtrak. We were here in Philadelphia in rehearsal, where there was never a moment to spare, but I was going to go down and be at the awards at the Helen Hayes. It was such an honor to be nominated. Turns out Amtrak won't get you down there and back in the same evening. You have to, the latest return train from D.C. to Philly is 10 p.m., which...
the Chinese bus would have done it for you. How do you like that?
I should have looked into the Chinese bus. I said I would drive, and they said, well, it's great, it's 4 hours. And I knew we had tech rehearsal the next morning, so I didn't make it to the Helen Hayes Awards, and I hope to in the future and cheer.
Well, I did cheer for you when they opened the envelope, I must tell you.
Well, thank you, Joel. I
and
cheered
my group, the
morning.
ushers, were very happy to sit in those front row seats when you did Virginia Woolf. They're still thanking me for that, to watching your great performance.
Yeah, you got, as I recall, you were very close on the night you came a year ago. It was a year and 2 months ago.
Thursday night, in fact.
Was it?
It was the last Thursday night.
I want to thank Linda Levy-Grossman of the Helen Hayes Awards for nursing me through that whole experience, because she was telling me how to get there and offering a discount on a hotel room. It's still more than I can afford, but it allowed me to email some thoughts and remarks in case my name was called.
They went to us. That was our thing, DC Theater Scenes project on getting responses from the Helen Hayes nominees, and you responded.
Oh,
that's
really?
us.
That's you guys instituted that program?
Absolutely.
Very savvy.
Huh?
Yeah.
Small World, isn't it? Would make a great song in a musical, don't you think?
That's what I want to do next.
Okay, I think you should. So it's great to see you returning to physical comedy, although I must say it looks quite physically challenging out there. So how is it for you?
Well, I am physically challenged as a performer. It's just different being 58 than being 28, oddly enough, or 38. And so I love working physically. I just have to be really careful. And there are times when I know I want to do certain things and go with certain abandon, but I have to protect this or that joint or spine section. And but I'm on stage with 8 amazing performers, all of them younger than me, and there's a vicarious joy, and there's also a chance to sort of soak up and steal from people, as insofar as I'm still able to steal a move here or there. 8 terrific dancers and actors in the Happiness lecture.
And some of that is some dangerous stunts that are going on out there, too.
I don't give anything away.
We won't give it away, but they are pretty physically challenged, too.
Let me just say, I'm supposed to have a line after a certain moment, but I can never get the line in because the audience is...
And so what is that line we missed?
I cannot say. It's cut from the show now. It's gone.
So every master clown, of course, builds on artists before him. Some of your work today reminded me of my all-time favorite, Buster Keaton. So how much Buster Keaton did you borrow from?
There is no more profound compliment, Joel, than that one, because he's a great hero of mine. There's nothing unusual, but every clown, everybody who's into baggy pants work, reveres Keaton. And when I was young, it was sort of a historic matter of feeling that the record needed to be righted, and that Chaplin at that time in the 70s was highly thought of and respected, but Keaton's work had been a little, we felt, overlooked, so we were championing Keaton all the time. Now, I think it's kind of evened out, the two of them, as also Harold Lloyd and Harold Langdon and others are geniuses of that era, but Keaton is my special hero. I can't quite say why. He was one of the great actors and comics and acrobats and filmmakers of his era. Then his life took difficult turns.
Well, it fell apart, basically.
It fell apart. But he pulled himself back so that he He was a working man toward the end of his life, and he's for all those reasons, he's an incredibly inspiring hero.
Well, let's talk about laughter. It's a very funny thing, as we know, when you think about it. So do you have any idea why we humans laugh?
I have no idea. We've been talking about this with the cast as we work on the show. Various aspects of human behavior, some of them may be dark and frightening and need to be controlled, like aggression, anger, violence, but they're sort of explicable in some way. We know why, or we have some sense of why human beings fight each other and guard territory, and even if it's misguided and has to be controlled. But why do we laugh? I don't know what the mechanics are, or what the reason, what the function is of laughter, and it's so complicated. Clowns often say that, like, Eskimos have 17 words for snow. We have 17, at least, different words for laugh, different kinds of laughter. There's laughter that's I'm with you, and there's laughter that's I'm against you, and there's laughter that's joyful, and there's laughter that's not at all joyful. It's an inexplicable part of, but essential part of human behavior.
So do audiences tell you anything about themselves when they laugh, or like last night when they don't laugh?
Yes, they do, and there's a sort of signature or imprint in the early laughter of a show, and you think, okay, I think I know who these folks are. Now, you're often wrong. You change your opinion over the course of the show. But today, the audience that you were part of, and I'm sure you bear a lot of responsibility, Joel.
God, you're so sweet.
No, it was just a wonderfully supportive and surprised house. Smart, so it wasn't like there was any lack of sharpness, but deliciously alive and surprised. Last night, I don't think the problem was the audience. It was the clown who was just not quite with it, maybe overtired after a matinee.
You jest, don't you? Really?
No, I don't. I wish I did. That's one of the ephemeral things about working in the theater. You never quite know what you should do to be ready. Should you rest and goof off? Should you practice and exercise? Should you eat a big meal? Should you eat nothing? Any decision can be right or wrong, but you're always hoping that you get out there with the best possible stuff to meet an audience with.
So what do you do to keep up your energy? Anything special?
I have exercises to be able to walk in the morning, and then think about the show, try not to think only about the show, think about the rest of life, see my family, and focus. And it's an easy word to either get right or wrong. We try to focus toward offering the audience something full on that moment that you take the stage.
So now that you've pursued happiness all your life, what makes Bill Irwin happy?
The feeling that maybe you did a good job, and that the tax man, the accountant, will not be unhappy with you for that month's earnings, because we just had tax season. Whoa, that was a big event at our house. This kind of work, we're blessed to be doing what we want to do, but it's not easy to make a living, or make a steady, solid living. I have a son who's about to finish high school, and he's kind of hoping we might be able to be of help with college afterwards. And what makes me happy is the feeling that maybe I did a good job.
Well, you did today.
Thank you,
Joe.
It was
great.
Thank you.
So what is this with elevated beds now? I mean, did you see Adding Machine, that opening number of Adding Machine?
No.
Where they've got this elevated bed.
Do they? Is it a similar kind of...
Well, it's not the same, but it's the same kind of, style. And then you've got Hairspray, where that starts with that elevated bed. So what is with the elevated bed?
It's been so long since I saw Hairspray. I got to go back and see it.
She's lying in that bed, and it's kind of tilted.
Well, it's an old gimmick. Yeah, you'd be able to show an audience people sleeping, or in this case not sleeping, tossing and turning in bed, so we're forever. I saw actually something like this in Marty Short's show. Marty Short had a show called...
That one-man show.
Yeah, well, it wasn't actually one-man show.
Well, they did have a couple people there, right?
There were another four, and they were all fantastic. Of course, the title of it won't... Fame Becomes Me.
Fame's Become Me.
Yeah. And Marty had a number in which two babies were in a bed sort of like this, and I stole it. Marty, I'm sure you won't mind. We all steal from each other.
Well, that's okay. What did Andrew Lloyd Webber say, that there's only so many keys on the piano, and they always accuse him of stealing things? So what advice do you have for young actors and clowns and jugglers who are thinking about making theater their full-time occupation?
It's not too late to change your mind, rethink things. Now, if it's really, it'll either happen or not, and it has to do with desire, and it has to do with a kind of a knack for certain things, and it has to do with luck. And if it doesn't happen, there are things in life that will also fulfill you. This one, it's a cruel but blessed profession, and so just get ready and don't get used to eating regularly.
Well, is there any kind of comedy that feels out of bounds to you?
To me?
To you?
I laugh at all kinds of comedy. Sometimes when I try to leave a certain everyman character, if it hasn't been written for me like by somebody like Edward Albee, I get into trouble. And so I had some ideas for the Happiness Lecture that I don't think they would have been out of whack with the audience, but I realized they weren't quite.
Can you share a couple or not?
Well, we were going to have semi-nudity, and I think it might have gotten a good laugh, but I'm not sure that it wouldn't have tilted the scales. It would have been very enjoyable because the members of our company are beautiful. But in the end, we found that revealing a face was as strong, if not stronger, than revealing a torso. So nothing is out of bounds, but some things feel righter than others. I guess that's all I'll say for my kind of comedy.
Now here's the final question, so I can let you go. And thank you so much for doing this after this
Please.
very tough performance. So what do you want audiences to take with them when they leave the Happiness Lecture?
A ticket form to purchase a return trip or bring their friends. No, I hope that the afternoon will read as one that's got frivolity in it, because one of my favorite John Lahr quotes is, "Frivolity is the species' refusal to suffer." I hope it'll have a feeling, touch upon the baggy pants tradition, but also I do offer it up as some thoughts on my place in, each person's place in society and culture today, and things we need to be careful of, things we need to think about. So it's all packed into 80 minutes on stage. I hope they take a lot of things home. And
it went by pretty fast.
It is not a long show.
Thanks very much for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Joel. Thank you so
Good luck
much.
with the rest of the run.
Best everybody down at D.C.
The Happiness Lecture is playing in the Suzanne Roberts Theater at the Philadelphia Theater Company, 480 South Broad Street in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. For tickets, call 215-985-0420 or go to their website, www.philadelphiatheatercompany.org.